welcome to our podcast USP, Unfolding Startup Potential, where we deep dive into the stories of founders and leaders who are changing the world of AI. I am Chetna, and for today, our guest is Aditya Kamat, co founder of Nexa, an AI voice automation platform which helps businesses scale smarter. Together, let's understand more about his journey and how conversational AI is changing the business operation. Over to you, Aditya. Please tell us a bit about yourself.
Definitely, Chitna. So a little bit of background. I'm from a very core technical background, right? I did my engineering from Bangalore. It's a college called BMS College of Engineering. It's in Baswantpuri. Did my engineering there in computer science and engineering. And right out of college, I was extremely interested in ethical hacking and cybersecurity, right? So I was able to crack a college placement right out of college in a company called DirectTech, and my role was that of a site reliability engineer. Right, these engineers sit behind the screen and help your systems be extremely reliable. Which means, let's say you go to Google.com today, it's very less likely that you hit Google.com and it's not working. Right, so there is an engineer sitting behind the scene making sure the servers are always up and running, and that is what site reliability engineers do. Right, so the first company I got into was called DirectTech. Proper core technical job, stayed there for about a year, right? A lot of learning, insane amount of learning, and that's how I was able to make my first switch, right? So the first switch was from DirectTech to LinkedIn, and prepared for about 2-3 months, and I was able to utilize all the knowledge that I learned in the one year at DirectTech. And then I was able to crack LinkedIn. Pretty hard interview, but I was able to make it fortunately. A very similar role there as well, site reliability engineering, and I was in the big data team, right? So what happens at LinkedIn is a lot of data collection happens, and then that data needs to be processed, right? Primarily, if you look at, let's say, if you go to My Network tab, it will show you people you may know, right? That entire thing is computed on all of your activities that you've done, right? People you may know, people you might have interacted with in your life. So LinkedIn sits and makes that computation overnight, and every single day there are a new set of people if you go and refresh that page, right? So all of that needs to happen on something called as big data, right? So that was the platform our team was responsible for. Scaled that up to almost 100 petabytes, right, which is massive. We were on about 60,000 servers, right? So that's the number of servers that we were managing back then. Making sure it's reliable, making sure all of your data is being computed at the right time, the right way. So that's what we were into. I've always been passionate about entrepreneurship right out of college, right? So that's how I met my current co-founder as well. So a lot of ideas on the way which might or might not be relevant, but one thing which I was passionate about was in the education space, right? So even when I was at LinkedIn, I would work from Mondays to Fridays. Saturdays I would sit and prepare my presentation, my script, and so on. And Sundays I would actually be in LinkedIn office shooting for my YouTube channel, right? I was making use of meeting rooms and so on because Sunday no one works and the office used to be open. So I would sit there from morning to evening, shoot and edit and so on and put it up on my YouTube channel, right? So that's how I realized that I was passionate for teaching. It was not for likes or comments or subscribers or anything. It was just because I wanted to share whatever I knew, right? So that's how it started off. And then at one point, I met Pratik. We started brainstorming, and then he introduced me to Hey Coach, right? He was running Hey Coach as a small project on the side. He was trying to train a few students, try to help them crack Google. His journey also has been something very similar. Started off with startups and ended up in Google. So a lot of people would reach out to him to figure out how do you get into Google, how do you crack their interviews, right? So that's how it started, and then he realized there's a lot more potential. It's not just a small project, but it's a company in itself, right? So that's where we both joined hands. We started off Hey Coach. We ran Hey Coach as an edtech startup for software engineers. Right, we would take working professionals, help them upskill, and then get them interview calls at the end of the entire course. Right, so that's what we did for the last 3.5 years. And currently, we are building the voice AI space. Right, so that's what Nexa is about. We're building a voice AI platform where businesses, enterprises can come and build and customize their voice agents. Right, we're building it for scale at this point because both of our backgrounds are in pure tech. We are able to think about what is important, what is not important for scale, and then build the entire platform from there. Right. So Nexa, in one sentence, is a voice AI platform where you can come and build your own agents for your businesses. Right. So that's what we're doing.
Great. That's a very long journey that you have had from being a tech guy to building a company.
Absolutely.
Yes. But what sparked that idea of building a company like Nexa? Because you could have done anything else.
Right.
Yeah. So why Nexa? And what problems you're solving at Nexa?
Right. So I think this was a problem statement we encountered at HeyCoach. It wasn't something that just came out of thin air, right? While we were at HeyCoach, we found a lot of use cases where humans were doing a lot of monotonous conversations with customers, right? Be it in sales team, be it in any kind of customer acquisition team, be it in operations team where you constantly call your learners and you ask the same set of questions. How did you like yesterday's class? Do you have any feedback for the coach? Now, what we believe is any monotonous task is not something that humans should be doing because we get bored of monotonous tasks very easily, right? So that's where we kept thinking about what can we do alternatively here, and that's when we were introduced to this entire voice AI wave, right? This is when it had started picking up in the market as well. And once we saw it, once we experienced it, there was no going back, right? And that's where we started building something for HeyCoach. And at some point, we realized that it's not just a tool or a product for HeyCoach, but something that a lot of businesses can use and benefit from, right? So that's where it moved from being a small tool, small product to an entire platform where any businesses can come and build their voice agents.
Which can be used for sales or post sales.
Correct. Sales, post sales, pre sales. Maybe even customer support where you have to talk to your customers constantly, take feedback from them. It can be used interestingly in an HR use case as well, because what happens nowadays is because of AI, candidates are just applying to every single job through a lot of automations, right? So recruiters are finding it hard to screen these many candidates, right? Calling each one and asking the same set of questions is a little difficult, right? So that's one more use case where we're seeing a lot of adoption coming as well.
And how do you analyze the call after the call is done?
Right. So there is something called as a post-call analysis. It's done using two ways. One is you use an LLM, you pass the entire call's transcript, and you ask it very specific questions that I want to understand. Let's say if the customer is interested in product A or B, right? And if that has been spoken about in the transcription, then it clearly tells you yes, he's interested in product A. Right. The second way to do that is very specific questions that the AI asks during the call, right? Like for example, what is your age? Can be a very specific question, and the customer tells 30 years, right? So now that gets stored as a different variable that you can retrieve after the call.
That's like a data you can.
That's like a data that you can just retrieve, right? So these are the two ways in which we analyze calls at this point.
Understood. And Aditya, since we are talking about AI, can you tell me your first interaction with AI?
Okay. I think for most of the people, it's going to be a very similar answer, but ChatGPT is what kind of introduced me to a use case of AI. I'd obviously studied about it in college and all of it, but the first practical usage of AI came to me only through ChatGPT. Right? OpenAI has done a fantastic job there in terms of introducing ChatGPT to the world, and it, to be honest, felt like a chatbot. Any other chatbot that you have at the bottom of the websites most of the times. But then its real power started unlocking as and when time progressed. Right? The initial version was just a normal chatbot where you ask it questions and it responds back. But now it has become insanely powerful, where you can, code with it. You can do your research with it. You can do your analytics with it. Give it an Excel sheet filled with data and ask it specific questions, and it will help you visualize their entire data. It's able to do most of the things that you can think of today in the virtual world. Right. So yeah, I think that was the first place where I was introduced to ChatGPT. Yes.
I think most of our answer would be ChatGPT.
Yes, that's right. Were you also introduced to ChatGPT first, or did you encounter something else in AI?
Again, the level at which ChatGPT was introduced, that was something very massive. Right. And before that, yeah, as you mentioned, chatbots or like that. Those were very, I think, small applications. Yeah, that didn't awed me.
Right.
So yeah,
makes sense.
Yes. And what's the one key experience from your earlier ventures that shaped how you build a company today?
I think one of the most important things, and this is engraved in a lot of Indian businesses, luckily, is that you treat your customers like God, right? You never build something because you know you really want it, or let's say your friend really wants it, but you make sure that whatever you're building is something that your customers really want, right? So that has been the biggest insight so far. So whatever we're doing at Nexa as well has been with constant feedback loops, rather than us just building everything and then going to the customer, right? So from the start, we've started off with design partners. So before we even wrote our single line of code, our first line of code, we actually went to businesses, onboarded them to be our design partners, right? And that's how we kind of started building the entire platform, right? So it's all built because a business gave us feedback, and that's why that button is there. So every single button can be explained to why someone really wanted it. So that has been the philosophy, and that has worked out really well, I suppose so far. Okay, so you're saying customer is the king, and whatever problems you have faced in your earlier ventures made you believe that this product will work. Correct. That's great. And how do you approach starting something new? Do you rely on instinct or data? Uh, You can answer both. Yeah, so I think it's a little subjective because initially when I started off my entrepreneurial journey, I think a lot of feedback that I got from people, or when I read books, articles, everyone was like data, data, data. Right? You always take decisions when you look at data. When it makes sense, take your decision. But over time, one very interesting thing I've realized is you can always manipulate data to make it look like it's fitting your decision. Right? So a lot of people in startups make a decision first, then they go look at data, and then they tweak the data, not change the data, but analyze it in a way which supports their decision making. Right? So fundamentally, I think as you progress in the startup journey, your instincts start getting better and better, because of which you start taking decisions through your gut feeling, through your instincts, and then maybe if data proves it wrong, you correct it. Otherwise, most of the times it's instinct based decisions that you take. I'm not disregarding data, it's just that I have seen personally a lot of people manipulating data to make sure it's fitting into their decision, and that's what works as well, right? So it's just where you are in your entire job. Yeah, that's a very great observation. Even I have seen like people already have made their decision, right, but they manipulate the situation or the data or whatever. Correct. To suit it in that. Yes, very interesting. In one line, how would you describe Nexa's mission to someone meeting you for the first time? In one line. So let's say this person is running a business, because this is a platform for businesses, right? So that's the first assumption we make. So it's just a magical tool to help them automate a lot of their monotonous work, which involves voice, which involves their team members talking to customers, and yeah, making sure it's more efficient, and making sure that it's doing exactly what you ask it to do. Right? So that's basically what Nexa is. It's over engineering voices to suit your customer needs. Understood. And what do you think the future of conversational AI is? Right. So the way it is heading, right? We may be 80% there, right? There is still 20% of innovation that is left to get exactly close to human speaking conversations, right? Right now, if you talk to an AI agent, you will not be able to figure out that it's an AI talking to you from the voice, right? Its voice is very, very similar to that of a human. Where it is lacking as of today is that it is not able to understand complete context, right? It is having a little bit of memory issue, a little bit of token issues, which means if you've spoken something half an hour before, let's say you told that you're from, let's say, Madhya Pradesh, right? And 30 minutes later, it is still possible for it to assume you're from, let's say, Germany, right? So memory is one issue, contextual speaking is one issue. And one more issue that we see lately is that there is, in humans, there is turn taking which happens very intuitive, which means when I stop talking, you know exactly that I've stopped talking and you start your sentence from there, right? But for a computer, it's very hard to understand when has a human stopped talking. Like this is a pause if you think about it, right? And I started talking again, but then as a human, you do understand that. For an AI, if it detects a pause for, let's say, a second or two, it will assume that you have completed speaking and it starts talking. Right, so that's where turn taking is something which is still getting engineered. Right, it's getting better and better every day. But it's not human level intelligence where you know exactly when the other person has started talking and when you have to start talking. Right, so these are some of the small areas where there is a little bit of innovation that is taking place, but we don't see it to be really far. Maybe in the next couple of months, we should ideally hit human level conversations through AI.
But yeah, it's not there yet.
Yeah, it's maybe 70-80% there at this point.
And what are the major sectors where this platform, Nexa, can be utilized?
So we are a little domain agnostic at this point, which means an edtech company to real estate companies to, let's say, CRM companies. We are integrating with a couple of CRMs as well. To telephony providers, we are in talks with a couple of telephony providers who want to give voice AI as a solution to their customers. Since we are at a platform level, we're not kind of industry related, right? We are agnostic in that way. But there are maybe 8 to 10 use cases where people have started utilizing this already. Like any place where you need appointments to be booked, this does it very efficiently. Any place where you want to qualify a lead, right? Pre-sales predominantly. This is able to do it very well. Any place where you want to take feedback from the customer, either for using the product, services, or any of that, that is being done really well. Recruitment, as I told you, is a new surprising use case which has come up. These are some of the verticals which have been adopting voice AI, but I somewhere feel maybe 1 year, 2 years down the line, almost every single call that a business will make out to their customer is going to be done through voice AI. Right? That's the prediction that I have here.
Great. So you're in the right, moving in the right path.
Hopefully, yes, fingers crossed.
Great. If you could fast forward AI progress by 5 years, what would you want to see become possible, which is not possible now?
5 years is a very long time frame. Mostly, I feel that AI is going to take over humanity in 5 years, right? So, most likely, even this podcast will be watched only by AI in 5 years' time, right? Humans will not really exist to consume this information. What I see happening in the next maybe 1 year, 2 years is that AI is going to get extremely intelligent, right? There's something called as artificial super intelligence, which beats human intelligence, which means it is able to make better decisions. It's able to figure out how to solve really, really hard problems much better and much quicker than humans. It's able to talk better than humans. It's able to see better than humans. So all your senses which are there, AI will be able to do it far better than, right? And it will want to just give you the gist of whatever it has done rather than you going through the entire cycle, right? A very quick thing, just as an example, is coding a simple, let's say, library management system, which was a project back in college. It literally took us 4 to 5 months to build that, right? We were college kids and we were inexperienced, but even if you put an experienced developer, it will take him or her maybe about a month to build it end to end. Now with AI, people are able to pull this off in minutes or hours, right? Within an hour, you're able to vibe code this entire platform, and it's not taking you that long. So the whole idea is that whatever you're doing as of today has to get quicker over time, right? And it reaches a point where AI completely takes over. It takes proactive decisions instead of being reactive, which means that you no longer are giving it instructions, it is giving you instructions, right? That's what I mean by AI taking over, right? And one thing to add on to this is OpenAI just released Pulse, right? Pulse is their new tool, which works while you're sleeping, right? You're sleeping for 8 hours. That tool is working for 8 hours. It's able to figure out everything which matters to you, and next day morning it gives you a set of things that you can work on, that you can read, that you can look up, right? So in a way, I see that it has already started happening. So it's not too far where you start getting instructions from AI that I want you to drive from point A to point B, and we will literally sit in our car and go from point A to point B. Right? It controls the entire day. It makes you much more efficient. It takes a lot of decisions on your behalf. What dress to wear, what makeup to put on, how do you have to style your hair today for the interview, and so on.
So is it like a wearable gadget?
Pulse is not a wearable gadget. It's just a web application, right? Just like ChatGPT. And all it does is it gives you instructions or data that you can consume for the next day.
Based on the data which
your previous chat, previous chats. You can also tell it that, let's say you're interested in photography, you're interested in latest AI news and so on. It will make sure it's accumulating all of your interests and providing it to you as a gist or a very small consumable piece. Right? So that's what is happening. I'm yet to try it out. This is all from whatever Sam Altman has tweeted and whatever I've read on.
Yeah, that's very interesting to explore. And coming back to conversational AI, do you think language would be a barrier in India, especially where we have like hundreds of languages?
Right. So one thing is all of this works on training data, right? Or training your ML models, which means you need someone or the other to sit and record audio in that particular language, right? If you have, let's say, 1,000 hours of recording for any given language, it's very easy to. These days, it's not at all hard to do this. It's very easy to go and train a model using a base LLM model to kind of converse in that particular language, right? So you will not be able to do this for languages where you're not able to obtain recordings, right? Otherwise, this is something which you can have conversations in any given language. As of today, I think we support close to about 18 Indian languages. 18 global languages and about 5 to 6 Indian languages. So it's not very far where I see companies obtaining recordings for even smaller spoken or lesser spoken languages and train their models on that.
So there is localization in conversation.
That's right.
Great. And do you think that AI agent or AI voice can actually replace humans? Because in sales, it's very important to have that connect or build that rapport with the customer or in any field. So will AI be able to do it?
Absolutely. So I'll give you a very interesting use case.
Yes.
I used to message and email people a lot more than what I am right now. Maybe 3 years before. Right? This is to seek mentorship. I would randomly mail Ankur Wariku, Kunal Shah, and so on, and I've also received responses from them. Right? And even my usage of WhatsApp, Telegram, any messaging platform has reduced drastically. And if I observe, there is a trend which is taking over. Right, my ChatGPT app has a lot more conversations as compared to all other apps combined as of today. Right, which means I'm finding AI to be much smarter or much better in terms of answering my questions, and much quicker as well, because I don't have to wait for that other person to respond as compared to how it was 3 years ago. Right. So I'm really hoping that people really enjoy talking to AI because it tweaks itself, it keeps learning from all the mistakes it has made, it keeps getting better over time. So there will be some point where people will like to talk to AI as compared to another human. because the AI will personalize the conversation based on how you like to talk, right? A lot of people like being appreciated. So maybe the AI can adapt and do that for that person as compared to any of his or her friends, right? So then their likability of the AI, their liking of the AI just starts increasing, because of which they spend more and more time with the AI.
Yeah, even I've seen my friends, they talk to ChatGPT more than they talk to me.
Absolutely. Yeah, so this is a trend which is happening. This is taken over the chat. I'm sure this will happen in the voice space as well. It's just a matter of time.
Understood.
It is scary, but
Yeah, it is very
I
scary.
think that's where we're headed towards.
So there would be less human interaction in
Yeah,
voice or
correct,
chat.
correct. That's it. Maybe in-person discussions, meetings, and all of that can still happen between humans, but otherwise, I think all the phone calls that you're making, you would prefer talking to an AI as compared to a human.
What if AI comes across AI?
So this is an interesting thing which is happening in the voice AI space, where people are building agent-to-agent communication, right? And this is primarily to improve its efficiency. Now, if you have two voice AI models that are talking to each other, they do not have to talk in English, right? English fundamentally is a very inefficient language because you have to take care of so much of grammar. Even when I'm formulating the sentence, I have to think of how to start it, how to end it, what all things to add in the middle. Whereas, let's say we come up with some other language where we do not care about any grammar, any syntax, or anything. I just care about giving the information in the right way to you, right? So the way this agent-to-agent conversations are piling up is they're moving away from English. They're figuring out their own language, a more efficient and a much more quicker language through which they communicate, have a very fast conversation, and they're able to pass the gist and the context of the conversation to the other agent very quickly. Right. So this is one of the things that a couple of companies are working on currently that I have come across.
And this is not a binary language.
This is not binary, but this is gibberish to humans. Right? It's as good as binary. We will not be able to understand or make sense of anything there at all. Right? So that's basically how they're come up.
Again, very scary.
Yeah.
And what advice would you like to give to someone who wants to start in the field of AI as an entrepreneur?
Right. I think the space is very lucrative at this point. A lot of companies coming up in the AI space, a lot of funding that is happening in the AI space. YC, especially, which is one of the biggest incubators in the world, very well known incubators, they are also going extremely heavy into the AI wave, right? So this is not a bubble. You don't have to be afraid of it. This is something that is very comparable to our internet bubble which had happened in the 2000s, right? A lot of people did not believe in the internet. They did not believe in having things in your fingertips, but that has actually come true, right? Similarly, AI is not a bubble. It is not something that someday will just come crashing. It's something that is going to stay for a very long time and going to determine how humans live and what we do over the next couple of decades. Right? So I think this is the best time that someone can start off in the AI space. My only advice would be to not go about building something that you like, but something, as I previously mentioned, something that you think a lot of people might really want, right? So talk to your customers. As entrepreneurs, it's very easy to sit behind the desk and code all day. But I really feel the important part right now is not coding, is not building software, but it's talking to customers, figuring out what do they need exactly, go down to the deepest level, figure out what do they need, and then come and build it. Right. So my only advice is to start from the customer and not from your laptop.
Great. Yeah, that's a very good advice. Like thinking of from a customer's perspective.
Correct. Because at the end of the day, they're the ones who will pay you. Right. It's not your laptop that will pay you for whatever you're building. So you might as well build it for them.
And one advice for someone who is a working professional, having 2 to 3 years of experience, how do they stay relevant?
So this is a very interesting question. A lot of friends of mine, right, who are from the tier 1 companies, they are extremely unaware at this point about what is happening in the AI space, right? All they are aware of is how do you build scalable solutions, which they are doing in their current job, and a little bit of AI coding that their company has mandated in their teams, right? Apart from that, they are kind of unaware about a lot of things which are happening in the Gen AI space. How companies are building really cool stuff, how can they leverage that in their daily lives and so on, right? So one of the advice that I would give them is to really start considering and exploring these new AI things which are coming up, new AI tools, products. It's okay to spend money on it as long as you're learning something, you're able to build something for yourself. Because this is something which is going to be inevitable, right? If you don't get on the wave, it's going to leave you far behind, right? So I think it's the right time to upskill. It's the right time for them to explore these tools, get used to it, get acquainted to these tools. Because as the tools mature, as the industry matures, even they keep learning over time, right? So that's the advice I would give them. Don't stay in your comfortable space, right? Go out there and explore whatever is happening in the AI world.
So, on that answer, can you recommend 5 tools that you should not miss out?
Okay. So it kind of depends on everyone's use case, but let's say
Around, let's say, voice.
Sure, I can do that. One of the things which is very useful is building workflows for your automations of daily life. Right. One of the things that I have been using personally is Na10. That is one of the tools. This is to build workflows that help you in a lot of monotonous work. Right. All the emails that I send, all the recurring tasks that I do, I try to set up automations in Na10 so that I don't have to keep doing the monotonous work again and again. Right. Then comes your reading. Right. A lot of them consume content. The old way of consuming content is to go read blogs, to read books, to read YouTube, to watch YouTube videos, right? These days, what I do, especially, I can tell you what I do. Maybe that's not the best way, but this is what I've been doing. If I want to consume any piece of content, be it video, audio, or text, I go and ask ChatGPT to create a index, right, of that entire piece of content, right? And then I skim through the index and I make sure index also has some summary of each of those chapters or each of those topics. And then I go through the topics and whatever I find interesting, whatever I want to go deeper into, I ask ChatGPT to go deeper into that section, right? So now you're being very efficient in terms of consuming the content. You're not watching the video from the first minute to the 60th minute. You're just picking parts of the video that are relevant to you, right? So this way you're reducing your wastage of time, right? And you're being very efficient in terms of what you consume and how you consume, right? So you start off from there, you go deeper, you pick a specific topic, you go deeper there, you start asking it questions. There's also a mode called Study and Learn in ChatGPT that you can use to start asking it to test your knowledge on that topic, right? So now you not just learn, but you also refresh your concepts to make sure you've learned it well, right? So it asks you the right set of questions and you can kind of answer it there, right? Apart from this, I feel what other tools? There is deep research that I use a lot in ChatGPT. In fact, I have 2 to 3 accounts of ChatGPT because I keep exhausting my deep research credits, right? And deep research is something that I definitely recommend people to use if they are looking to understand or learn something new. Right, start off with deep research, and it will kind of give you a very very structured path to figure out what is right, what is wrong. You deep dive, and then based on whatever is of interest to you, you can ask a question, and it will kind of expand on that.
And it's different from the normal conversation that you
Correct.
have.
It's different from the normal conversation. It's a much more exhaustive document. It usually creates like a 18-20 pager Google Drive document. So I kind of copy that, put it on Google Drive, and then I can add comments, I can highlight things. So that's what I have been doing. Apart from this, there's also a couple of agentic frameworks which are coming up, agentic companies. I think one of the things that I recently tried out is called Lyzer, Lyzer. Right? They allow you to build AI agents on their platform that do different types of things, right? In fact, I'm thinking of talking to them and seeing if we can collaborate with them for the voice agent part. But otherwise, you can make these agents do any task collaboratively, right? So let's say you want a video to be edited, right? You spin off, let's say, 3 to 4 agents, each of them doing different parts of the entire video editing process, and then you pass the video to them. And they work for 2 hours, 3 hours, and then they output a video which is exactly the way you want it, right? So these are some of the tools that I would recommend. If you're looking at specifically the voice AI space, I think to start off with, there are a good number of voice AI tools that you can start using as a consumer, right? Not as a business. And some of those are Level Labs. You can try out Smallest. These are 2 tools that people have been using for their personal use, right? Similarly, if there's a business use case where they're trying to build voice agents to help their current teams take care of the monotonous work, then Nexa is something that they can check out for sure.
Great. And what technology Nexa is based on?
So our entire code base is kind of split into Python and Node.js at this point, right? But behind the scene, we are a platform that onboards a lot of different voices from different places, right? So we kind of integrate with different voice platforms to bring their voices to this platform. So you get everything right from telephony to voice agents to testing frameworks to collaborations with your team and making sure your workflow is working well. All of that in one place, right? So that's how Nexa is built at this point.
Great. Interesting, yeah. And the tools which you mentioned are actually very interesting. Even I would like to check out.
Absolutely.
Great, thank you. So now I'll just read out some AI hot takes and you have to agree or disagree with an answer.
Okay.
AI will replace more jobs than it creates.
I agree to that.
Why?
Yes. The reason is because AI typically right now is going to work as your IC layer, right? People who are into executing tasks, who are into actually writing code or doing things at an execution level, right? So the way we are headed to right now is that AI is able to pick up most of these execution tasks. If not now, maybe in a couple of months, it will be able to do most of the execution things, which are virtual in nature, right? It's not come into the physical world. There are robots are still something that will come up in the future, but right now, let's just ignore that part of it. All the virtual work that you do sitting behind a laptop is something that can be done through AI. Right now, what you need is someone to sit and manage these AI agents, someone who's able to make sure they are taking ownership and responsibility. Right? Let's say I run a company and I have a task that needs to be done. I would want a human to take accountability so that I can go back to him or her and question him on why that has not happened. I can't do that with an AI. Right? So that is where I need a manager or someone who can take care of these agents and is responsible to take ownership of that entire task, right? Otherwise, the execution part of it is all going to be replaced by AI. So that is where I feel the jobs that it will be creating will be at the managerial layer, that is sitting, observing these agents, making changes to them, and so on. But most of the execution work, right, will be replaced by AI. And if you look at the way companies are structured, you will see a pyramid or a triangle structure, wherein you have the bottommost layer, which is the heaviest workforce of any company, right? Which is into execution. And that's basically why companies also go forward, because they are execution heavy. Now, if you start replacing those people, that is where your pyramid will start shrinking, right? And it takes very little time for it to become a pipe, where there's just one person sitting at each layer to take ownership, and you don't really need so many people sitting at the bottom.
So there would be no entry level jobs then?
Yes, most likely. That is the way I see it.
How does a person enters in the market?
That's a very good question. So far, for the last, I think, 6 to 8 months, people were believing that AI can't be creative, it can't be emotional towards humans, That's something that only humans can do, but I'm kind of believing that is incorrect, right? I've seen AI to be 10x more creative than me, right? It's able to create images which are 10x more creative than I can even imagine. Forget about me painting, right? So the creativity part of it is something which I'm no longer believing that only humans are good at. Similarly, I think a lot of execution work can be done by AI. So I'm not really sure how people can get into entry level jobs, right? I don't really have an answer to that. Um, I really wish the best of luck for people who are entering the job market, right? But the harsh reality is, as time progresses, the entry level jobs are just going to keep getting better.
Or maybe there would be something else to do, I guess. I would
Yeah,
like to
something
believe
that,
that.
yeah, something that AI is not interested in doing because they start taking decisions, they'll pick up the most interesting work, the most efficient work. So maybe we'll end up becoming farmers again or hunters and gatherers again, going back to forests and living our lives there, right? But yeah,
Only the future can tell.
yeah, that's right.
AI needs strict regulation to stay safe.
Uh, I agree to this that it does need strict regulations to stay safe. But what is also happening is this is not being followed because as a business, you want to take the entire domain forward, right? If you want to take AI forward, it needs to solve every single use case, right? And as soon as you start adding these guardrails, as soon as you start adding security measures here, it slows you down. And in a domain which is moving this fast, you do not want any kind of friction. And that is where a lot of companies are not even thinking about the security aspect, not thinking about what can happen, what can go wrong. And I think some governments are interfering, they're putting in strict regulations. I'm yet to check out different regulations that will come through TRAI that regulates the telecom part of the country, right? I'm sure they'll come up with something for voicing, right? That you can't just randomly call people. You need to have authorized ways to make conversations and so on. Similarly, governments in different sectors will need to barge in and stop malicious activity or harmful things from happening. I'm completely for it, but it is not happening at the scale it should, right?
Okay. AI will make human lazier, not smarter.
Well, it depends on the human. If you ask me from a zoomed out level where we look at all humans, then your statement is correct, where it will make humans as a whole lazier. But then there are a few set of individuals that will leverage AI to become smarter, right? You would want to be in that bucket where even though the AI is pushing to make you lazier, you will need to leverage it to keep gaining information, to keep gaining knowledge, to keep deep diving and understanding what is it up to. You need that curiosity to keep getting smarter, right? So it's a competition here where AI is going to try to make you lazier, but it's on us as individuals to keep up and keep getting smarter over time.
Yeah, but yeah, lazy people I think will be more than smart
Correct.
people.
That's right. At a zoomed out level, yes.
Yes. Voice is the future. Screens will fade away.
I'm a huge believer of this, so I agree to this. In fact, a very small instance here. I was ordering on Swiggy. I think this was about 4-5 months ago. And usually, when you have to order from anything from Swiggy, groceries from Swiggy, you have to go to the search bar, type in whatever you want there, and then it shows you all the items that meet your search filter. Right? 4 months ago, 5 months ago, they put a quick mic icon there. Right? After that, you will not believe I've not typed a single word in Swiggy. Right?
Okay.
I've always used that voice feature. I tap on that, I ask it to, let's say, order atta or whatever I want, and it displays it every time properly based on my history of ordering. And then I just have to go and add it to my cart. Right? Similarly, I'm able to see a lot of companies that are trying to add voice to their websites. right? These days, it's very typical for you to scroll a website to read what is there and consume content. What if you get to talk to someone? You're asking very specific questions. Tell me more about the product. What is it priced at? I belong from so and so background. Will this product be of a good fit for me? Right? And the AI is genuinely trying to help you by answering all of those questions. So now you don't have to go through anything on the website, but you just have a conversation and then you are aware of whatever you want to be aware of by just having that conversation. So I somehow feel that screens are going to fade away at some point, and you will have everyone interacting with voice as the primary mode, right? Even if you think about it, keyboards and mouse and all of that, it has been invented because there was a necessity of it, right? We primarily would just write on, scribble on a notebook using a pen, or maybe on rocks using another rock. That's how we would typically do it. But over time, these keyboards and different modes of conversations have come. But predominantly, we have always been species that would prefer talking to each other as compared to writing and sending it or texting and sending it. These are things which have happened over time.
Yeah.
But I think we will go back to our fundamentals where we talk a lot as compared to what we type and write.
Now I think voice was, I think, the first mode of
Communication.
Yes. So
That's right.
yeah, people
So
will
we
tend
might
to
go
go
back.
back.
Yes.
Yeah. And even now I see the voice trend going up because now Apple talks to you.
Correct.
Like if someone's an unknown number is calling you, then
That's
it will say something.
Correct.
Yeah.
That's it.
Websites are talking.
Absolutely. All of these are us going back in time and starting from voice again. That is what is happening.
AI founders have a responsibility to design with empathy. What's your view on this?
I think we are a little too early to solve for empathy at this point. I think what we're trying to solve for using AI is to make sure your work is getting done as efficiently as possible, right? Whatever you want to automate, be it code, be it design, be it editing, whatever it is, right? Now, as we discussed, there will be a point where AI will start replacing jobs, right? That is when you need empathy, emotional connect. You need all the traits that humans have to be fit into AI, because at the end of the day, a human is managing AI, right? So you will need all of these traits to be put into AI as well, right? So that's what I believe that right now it's about speed, it's about making sure execution is happening well, and there will be a point where we will have to evolve and solve for these cases.
Yeah, as of now, AI is not that destructive.
Yeah.
To even think about
Think
it.
about it.
Yeah.
Exactly.
So our last segment is this or that.
Okay.
So I'll give you two options and you have to just choose.
Sure.
Build fast or build perfect?
Fast initially. So I would choose fast, but then perfect when you take a look. Like when you're traversing your journey, eventually it needs to be perfected out. Initially, it's always fast.
Okay. Bootstrap freedom or VC backed scale?
I would pick bootstrap freedom if you have that as a choice. If you desperately need funds to survive, then the second. But otherwise, it's always bootstrap.
Robots as colleagues or AI only assistants?
Interesting. I think I'll pick robots as colleagues because I've not experienced it. That's the only reason.
Okay. Product first or customer first?
It's always customer first.
Yeah.
Yes.
Work mornings or late nights?
What do I prefer? It kind of keeps changing. But right now, I'm someone who has been waking up early. So at this stage of my life, it's early morning.
Okay. 10 small wins or one big breakthrough?
I'm someone who has a very high risk taking appetite. So big breakthrough is what I would prefer.
Okay. Yeah, that's it. And one last question. At Learnbay, we have launched AI collab experience where students can interact with startup projects and problem statements and solve them. And after completion of the project or the problem, they will get certificate from the startup itself. So, what do you think of this initiative? Is it important for professionals to have that practical approach?
Right. So I think this is a very good idea that you guys have come up with. Because a lot of times, right, if you have fundamentally the way we have been studying in colleges are that you have professors who are not working in any kind of a company, they're just teaching you, right? And at that point, they just make you build library management systems. They make you build these softwares which is not useful anywhere at all, right? So I think this is a very good initiative where you're bringing in companies that have genuine problem statements that need to be solved, putting across their hard, challenging problem statements to your students, and uh, obviously they will be using their knowledge, whatever they have accumulated over the entire course, and making sure that they are building or solving for that problem. So it's a win-win. It's a win for the student because they're being recognized by the startup, and startups win because their problem statement is being solved by the student. So I think Learnbay is doing a fantastic job there by having this collaboration.
Great. So that's it. Thank you very much for your time
Sure,
and your advice. It was great.
definitely. Thank you so much, ma'am.
Thank you.